Should the free market have, well, a free hand? How much should the government step in to control business practices, to control business models? What about demand and supply? How much is too much? That's the question that's being asked after we've seen somewhat of a confrontation between the Delhi Chief Minister and app-based cab services. Remember, surge pricing has now been banned in Karnataka permanently. It's been discontinued in Delhi during the odd-even season, and as we've been told, will not be allowed to be back. There will be no surge pricing in Delhi even after the end of the month. That's the end of April when the odd-even scheme, the Delhi Chief Minister's pet scheme, ends. So there are two states in India that are already saying no to surge pricing. Will the rest of India follow? And what does this mean for larger business practices in the country? That's what we're looking at today. The spotlight, of course, has been on Uber and Ola, two of our leading app-based cab platforms. We've extended an invitation to both to be on the program today, but they've told us that they'd rather skip this one and come up with a response in the midst of all this. They're, of course, trying to meet the Chief Minister to try and sort this out. But let me introduce a very special panel nonetheless. Joining me from Bangalore, Ravi Gururaj, founder and CEO at QuickPod. He's also the chairman of the NASSCOM Product Council. Rakesh Agarwal, director and CEO Magic Seva, with us, as is Kunal Lalani, president of the Association of Radio Taxis and founder Mega Cabs. Also with me, Arun Bharti, founder and CEO of Orahi, a mobile carpooling app, and Amadiksha Jugnu, city manager for New Delhi. Thanks all so much for taking our time to be with us today. Mr. Gururaj, first up to you. There are all those saying that something like surge pricing, something like dynamic pricing is key to business models of some companies that we are looking at. It's a global phenomenon. It's been practiced globally. Why should the government intervene? This is a free market. Just let the market decide. Where do you stand on this debate, sir?
Well, I'm always in favor of free markets, arriving at price discovery, coming at market clearing prices, in providing choice and convenience to consumers. So, I think we should step back a little bit and understand, for instance, what Ola and Uber have done to the Indian taxi market, for instance. The number of choices I have has gone up since they've arrived. The convenience has gone up. The cost, in most instances, has gone down. The congestion on the roads, potentially, if we have even more capacity, will get much better if people are able to use these kinds of services. And I think, finally, it's the capacity. The number of cars and options available has actually gone up since these services have arrived. The number of drivers who are willing to drive has gone up. I think that's all great. Now, I think today we're talking about, a market mechanism of discovering how to balance demand versus supply.
Sure.
And I think, we need to give freedom to models to exist that allow that to be determined by consumers primarily, by voting with their dollars, right, and their rupees. And that's, I think, what this whole business model is about.
Right, and that's, of course, going to be the center of this big debate. Who's going to decide? Is it going to be the consumer? Is it going to be the government that's going to step in? How much free market is okay? Kunal Lalani, come in at this stage. There is no denying that these app-based cab services have made life easier for just so many people in our cities. We now seem to be caught in the middle of this debate that, where, on one hand, the consumers, of course, greatly relieved. There are others who are sort of looking at the ease of doing business in India and saying, where are we going? What's going to happen and all of that? How do you see this as someone who's also operating a cab service?
See, firstly, we welcome such new concepts. So there's no reason for us to deny such concepts coming in, which actually mature the entire taxi market. The argument right now stands at that they should be firstly regulated like everybody else. And regulation does not happen only in India. Globally, taxi product is a regulated product. Besides that, what we say, once there's a regulation in place, there should be one rule for all.
Sure.
You cannot have two different rules, and that's the only argument we have against them. Secondly, as being a regulated product, there's always a maximum price fixed by the government. They must adhere to a maximum price. If that maximum price is known to the customer, then that keeps away the insecurity and the risk of the customer getting stranded with tomorrow a huge surge price. If these two things are addressed, I'm sure they are more than welcome to grow in the country.
Right. Mr. Agarwal, you're someone who sort of really got surge pricing to the front burner even before it became this big issue. You went to court protesting about it. Do you believe that it's now inevitable that it's going to happen all over India? Because how can only Karnataka and Delhi say no to surge pricing? Do you believe that it's now inevitable that it's going to be sort of history in the entire country? And do you believe that that's the way forward?
Well, Ola and Uber, the business models they have done wonders for the taxi industry, and we admire these companies and their business models for that reason. However, they are also creating barriers for the competition. They have deep pockets using the money that they receive from venture funds. They are creating barriers by incentivizing drivers to join them. For instance, every morning they send out SMS messages to their drivers, fleet of drivers, telling them, giving them minimum business guarantee of 10,000 rupees, 10,500 rupees. So that is the kind of money that other startups cannot throw away. So our issue is that so far as pricing is concerned and the government's intervention in demand and supply, the issue of pricing to bridge the gap between demand and supply, we are all for market mechanism.
Yeah, so I think that break-even point will arrive. Everybody can't have endless pockets in terms of deep pockets and being able to just invest cash endlessly. I think what you need is you need to create a critical mass of drivers. You need to create the infrastructure. You need to change consumer preferences and behaviors. That's what's going on right now in this investment stage. And I think you will reach a point where there's an efficiency level that's reached that allows, and a capacity level that's reached that allows this to become a steady state profitable business as well, downstream.
Sure. Very quickly, Mr. Lalan, quickly.
I completely disagree with what Mr. Gurunath is saying. The fact is that you can do all this even if you have deep pockets. You're not allowed to sell below cost. The government or the country's laws do not permit it. Here the current condition is that if the taxi ride is worth 300 rupees, today it costs any of these companies more than 350 rupees to make sure that taxi ride happens. So which means 300 rupees is what the customer is paying and 350 bucks the company is funding.
Right.
Now this practice is illegal, unethical and not acceptable.
And on top of that, these app-based companies are paying 450 rupees per ride to the drivers. So the driver is finally getting 700 rupees, but the consumer is only spending 300 rupees. So where's that 400 rupees coming from?
So that's unethical practice. That's only to destroy the competition.
Violation of Competition Act of 2002.
So then should we, Mr. Gururaj, would it be fair to say that sorry, let me just try and understand the arguments, because I know that we have very sort of clear and firm positions on both sides and we can go on with this. But would it be fair to sort of say, and I want to sort of ask all of you that we have the Competition Commission for this purpose. They can come in to ensure there's no monopoly. We're constantly told that there is example of what's happening, say, with airlines, it's happening with hotels. So why should this space be any different? I'll get you all to respond. But Mr. Gururaj, quickly, and then I have to open it to the other panelists.
Yeah, I think, what you need to do is first and foremost expand capacity. A driver that's investing in a car that might be 7 to 10 lakhs or something, bringing it into the market, bringing a high quality vehicle onto the market needs to have a monthly break even happen. Otherwise, they won't bring that capacity. Now, it also means that you need to price at a level that is a steady state, a level that you might reach in 3 years' time for the consumer today to adopt. So that's that chicken and egg problem, right? That is there. First, the consumer expects a price that's reasonable. The driver needs to make an income that's reasonable, but you need to bring both to the market first. And so there's an investment required in the first few years to get that critical mass going. And I think that's what we're seeing. Once that critical mass is reached and steady state is reached, I think you'll have a balance, natural balance.
Where do you stand on the argument that the smaller players, people with sort of not so deep pockets, are struggling to get that funding, struggling to sort of just take off, will be squeezed out of the ecosystem?
So, yes,
is that a fair fear?
So for small players, small startups, small innovators which are coming up, I'll say just focus on the values first, then don't go after the money, because when the money will be taken out, how will you survive? That is the biggest question.
Mr. Agarwal, come in. There is room for everyone. Why do we need to worry?
What we are against is giving incentives to drivers from your own pockets. And you can only do that when you have deep pockets. And as this gentleman from Bangalore just said, Mr. Gurunath, I believe.
Gururaj, yes.
Right. As he just said about the market maturing, now, it's not just the rights of Ola, Uber or big players who will innovate and who will help in the maturing of the market. We also need to play in the same market.
Absolutely. So, I don't think the argument is that it's only for the big guys. It's just that is there room for everyone or not? Correct. Or will they be squeezed out? That seems to be the concern. In the midst of all this, something that we haven't really looked at is the effect on pollution, is the effect on environment. I'd like you to come in at this stage. There's of course so much focus on odd even, and somehow the odd even this time has been taken over by politics, been taken over by business and all of that. But do you believe that any of this, again this morning I'm just looking at a press release by Ola that said that they are increasing the number of cabs back again on the road. So are we sort of getting caught in this vicious cycle, and is there going to be sort of
How
really
are they
any
doing it
real
without a
impact on
search?
the
If they
ground?
couldn't do it over the last 2 days as they claimed, how are they going to do it today?
No, but very, very well said. The question is not about, let's take a step back. The question is not about, how bigger a supply can be built. The question is that what are we doing with the existing supply? How efficiently we are using it. If you look into the total number of cars which are there in Delhi, is more than the total number of cars in Bombay, Chennai and Calcutta put together. Do we really need so many cars? There are already many cars available. Can we squeeze more number of people per car? If that is the way we can solve the problem of commuting from one place to another, that is the best way to do it.